Welcome back to Vlogmas. I don't know what day this is going to come up as, but it is the one after the celery salt because we're going to use celery salt in this recipe. I am going to use someone else's recipe for this one, and we're just going to wing it. And I'm hoping that it comes out like a brand that I do like or better. So we're making cheesy kale chips, and this, Brad's, I feel like are really good. The ingredients are not exactly the same, so it probably won't be exact, but I really wanted to make a homemade version. I'm making it primarily as a gift for someone else, but I'm hoping it's got that similar, like really cheesy saltiness. So we're going to use our celery salt in this one. I have purchased this ebook from Kevin Cosmo Rogers of High Energy Parenting. I just love his YouTube channel and all the things he makes up for his sweet family, and I'm really looking forward to trying his kale chip recipe. A couple years ago I made his apple strudel recipe, which I loved, and yeah, we're gonna give this a go. I'm gonna get started on washing the kale, measuring it out. We're going to use about a half a pound because I have 2 heads full, but I only have a 4 tray Excalibur. If I had a 9 tray, I could a 9 tray Excalibur, I could probably make double batch and then do it all in one go, but I do not. So we're going to just do up as much as we can, about a half a pound, and I'm going to rinse it, dry it in my salad spinner. Because the more moisture, like I said with the celery salt, the more moisture you have on there, the longer it's going to take to dehydrate. So we're going to dry it, and then we're going to de-stem it and pull the leaves off to like larger than bite size, because when they dehydrate, they're going to shrink down quite a lot. So we're going to get started with that. Look at all of this. It's huge. I ordered this on curbside, and it came in like this giant bag, unfortunately, but can we just talk about that? I've never seen a produce bag so big. So yeah, this is, I might have gotten 3 heads. We're about to find out. You get to a certain point in the morning where prepping and doing things becomes hard, and you can tell, okay, I'm getting undercarbed. Time to get the bananas. We got a lovely, I'm gonna let this just kind of sit for a minute and just grab some fruit and some water and take a little break, and then I'll go back to drying the kale when I'm ready. Alright, so I'm going to go over the ingredients real quick with you. So we've got about a half pound kale once I dried it and measured it out. It was about 2 ounces short of a half pound, but close enough. Obviously I have more. That was only 1 head, but there's a lot of work to dry that, you know. I just want to get these in. Make sure I get them done in time. So we've got 2 Roma tomatoes. You see that? 2 Roma tomatoes, a half a yellow bell pepper, a tablespoon juice from a lemon, a tablespoon of the lemon juice, I should say. And then the recipe actually calls for 2 tablespoons of macadamia nuts, but I just did cashew because I am out of macadamia right now. And then we have a 1/4 cup of sun-dried tomatoes. So you want to get the kind that is packed dry and not in oil. So this one is usually more by the produce rather than the canned tomatoes and stuff. Okay, and then we've got a seasoning blend. So this is a half teaspoon mustard powder, a teaspoon paprika, a tablespoon nutritional yeast, which if you want to leave that out, totally fine. It just adds an extra cheesiness. You could even just add in maybe a bit of hemp hearts instead, or pine nuts, you know, whatever, if you want to still get that same sort of vibe, but you could also do miso paste. Okay, so then what are we at? A teaspoon of onion powder, a half teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of the celery salt we made, or if you don't care about celery salt. You can just use, you know, Himalayan sea salt. And then our 1/2 pound kale. So I'm going to pop all of this, of the dressing, the sauce, in the Vitamix until it's nice and creamy, and then we're going to massage that into our kale before we dehydrate it. I wanted to mention, as I add things in, just like a little trick, when you've got nuts and seeds, and how it can get kind of stuck in the Vitamix, you know, so it won't matter as much for this recipe because it's all pretty similar water content foods. Nothing's too, like, tons of nuts and just a little bit of water, you know, it's hard to break up. So if you add something that's really juicy or a little bit of your liquid to the bottom, it sort of gets it going, and then put your crunchy thing next. So it's close enough to the blades to get ground up really quickly and, you know, liquefy, so to speak. But you also have a little bit of that moisture content food at the bottom that gives it the liquid it needs to get it going. So I'm putting the cashews in next, and then I'm putting in the dried tomatoes because they're so dry and like almost rubbery that they're hard to get moving. So you could put that second or the cashew second, either way, but they're really kind of laying on top of each other. So then next is the bell pepper, and then I'm gonna put the powder right on top because that'll just incorporate as it blends. So we've got the powder. I really need to find my phone stand because it's Vlogmas, but I'm just having to hold it because I'm not completely sure where it is right now. Sorry about the bad stuff here. So on top, I'm gonna add in the lemon juice as well. This is slightly more than a tablespoon, so I'm not gonna probably pour it all in, just most of it. And so then you have the liquid sort of trickling in. So point being, layering really helps when you've got, you know, something kind of hard in there, like a nut or a seed. You want to give this a good couple minutes because those sun-dried tomatoes are really hard to break up, and you don't really want to get a big chunk of it on your kale leaf. As you can see, I left the leaves quite big. When it dehydrates, it's going to be probably 1/4 of the size. All right, so I'm going to just pour my sauce on. Waste not, so wipe off the tamper too. All right. And then I'm gonna pour, look at it. I smell the bell pepper for sure, and the sun-dried tomatoes more than anything. So you wanna make sure you have clean hands because you're gonna be massaging. Get all that goodness out of there. Should we taste it? Ooh, I get the lemon juice for sure. Yeah, I think that'll be good. It almost tastes a little bit like a pizza sauce for some weird reason. Must be the garlic and the sun-dried tomatoes. All right, so we're gonna just get all up in there. I wanna massage it really well to be sure it's fully incorporated and that the leaves get a bit, you know, when you massage kale leaves, it sort of helps to change the texture. And that's partially what we want to do here. So we're gonna give it a good rub down. I would say this is like the perfect amount of sauce for this amount of greens. This would probably make a super good salad too, even if you didn't dehydrate it. Just as it is. But we are dehydrating it because Mama's got a kale chip craving. So, Kevin Cosmo's book from High Energy Parenting, it was 15 kale chip recipes, and you can find it on his website, highenergyparenting.com, I believe it is, and you get the ebook. It's $3.99 for 15 kale chip recipes, and they're all so delicious looking. There's a sweet one, there's like a barbecue. I was kind of looking for like, my friend really likes like a hot wing sauce type stuff. Not sure if that's Tabasco or, and sriracha's not raw, but I'm gonna look into finding one that's sort of like a hot sauce kind of deal. And then you can kind of get that bite with the hot sauce chips. But I'm also going to make Chris Kendall's buffalo cauliflower wings soon. When she and I do a dinner, I think that she'd like those. So I'm gonna just keep doing this for a minute, and then in the dehydrator, it's gonna go on 115, I believe it was 12 hours. My dehydrator seems to take a little bit longer. So I expect it'll probably take a day, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. This is looking beautiful, isn't it? Aren't these beautiful? And it's coating really nicely, and the kale is getting nice and soft. And I'm trying to be gentle so I don't break up the leaves too much. So I got them about this size. I'm trying to not be too rough, but still get it in, you know? Hopefully this isn't too much for my 4 tray. I think it's about right though. Like some leaves are getting more than they deserve. So you gotta watch that and make sure it's not pooling to the bottom, you know? I'm gonna spend a good couple minutes more doing this. Just make sure it's fully incorporated so we don't get some that taste like something and some that don't. I don't know if we're gonna get it all in. We'll see. When I dehydrate, I do like to like give it a peek pretty often, like, I don't know, every 5 hours or, you know, whatever, just when I think of it. And give them a little, like you can kind of flip it or give them a little toss around, you know? Isn't it pretty? Look at those colors. Can't wait to eat some of these. And this really is a pretty low-fat kale chip as well, because the whole thing has just got 2 tablespoons of nuts, you know, and you could omit that if you wanted to, you know what I mean? Just keep it kind of tomatoey or whatever. So just a thought when you are gifting food. If it were me, I would appreciate having the recipe written out so that if I want to do it, I don't have to ask, I can just make it myself. And also, the macronutrient information, you know, they have the amounts there with the recipe, that sort of thing. So then if they use MyFitnessPal or Chronometer or whatever, you know, if they have a specific dietary need, like they know it's safe to eat. Because for me, when I'm given a food gift, it feels rude for me to say, like, but what's in it? You know, like there are certain things I can't eat. And so I feel like having it written out, and of course knowing their preferences and needs ahead of time, is really the thoughtful way to do a food gift. Because then they don't have to feel like they're putting you on the spot to ask or coming off rude. They know if they want to, you know, add that particular thing that you're giving them to their daily intake that day, etc. You know, just because everyone they're on a different place in their journey than maybe you are, and so it's just the more information the better, I guess is what I'm saying. We're gonna dehydrate. It says 10 to 12 hours at 115, but so it's still on 115. Okay, yes. I'm guessing mine's gonna take about a day. We'll see, because I feel like it never, but I usually leave it on the lowest, like I leave it on 105. So maybe at 115, you know, it'll go a little faster. We'll see what happens. So now I have the kitchen to clean up. This Vitamix. All right, I will check back in when they're done. Okay, so the kale chips have been in about exactly 24 hours. And they are now nice and crispy-licious. Look at this. You can see quite a lot of the sauce on there. Okay, they stayed nice and big, kind of, so you gotta like... They stayed a little bit stuck together in certain parts, so to keep the size, you kind of just want to very carefully break them apart. Alright, so there you go. Nice and crunchy. Alright, which one are you gonna try?
Whoa, this one is too big. Like this. Yum.
Yeah, it's nice and cheesy, isn't it? Happy Vlogmas, and see you next time.